time. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
So first of all, I want to apologize because we're rather late tonight. So I definitely wanted to apologize, but it feels really good. This always feels good to be boots on the ground in the street. I know we were last week online, but it feels really good to be boots on the ground in the street. But this is West Wednesday week 581, and we've been constantly fighting for accountability for my big brother Tyrone West, who was pretty much murdered, an unarmed man brutally beat to death by 17 killer cops that didn't have any restraint, didn't have any reserve for life, that just didn't care. And we've been out here now for 581 weeks. That's a very long time. But as I go into talking about my brother, and not just my brother, but the brothers, the sisters, the fathers, the mothers, anybody that has ever dealt with police brutality, I wanted to just highlight today because we know the day is September the 11th, 9/11, and a tragedy happened 23 years ago where many people lost their lives, a terrorist act, and it's just so sad that so many people had lost their life on the day, from babies to people that were coming in to actually save the babies. A lot of people lost their life, and I just thinking about that tragedy that happened, just wanted to send love to the families and everything. That was horrible, but on another note, and not to be insensitive, is the fact that you would think, now this was 23 years ago. And when this happened, I remember being at a job. I remember being so worried. And at the time, I only had two children, my oldest two. And literally, I remember running. I'm like, I gotta go to their school and get them. And I just remember my boss at the time was saying something was blowing up, and it was just a lot. And I was just like so scared. But my whole point of talking about 9/11, where so many innocent people just died for no reason. The fact that you're talking about 23 years later, has this world gotten any better? It has not. That's the saddest part. That is the saddest part. You think a tragedy such as that, something horrific as that claims so many innocent lives, babies, children, and it makes me think of what's happening where they're fighting and so many babies and children are getting killed. And we're standing up and we're saying enough is enough. It's just sad. And then the fact that they're still in war right now, babies and stuff are still being killed. Innocent victims are still being killed. That is disgusting. So that's what I wanted to start off by talking about. I feel like we're still at a state of emergency. Like 911 emphasized emergency, and right now we're still at a state of emergency. And to me, it has gotten worse. And it's disgusting. So many lives have been snatched from police brutality, from community violence, just so many things. It's just sad. And then now we're looking at, as we're getting closer and closer to election time, and a lot of people don't even want to vote or whatever. And I'm not out here to push a narrative or make somebody vote, but as for me, I will be voting. But as last night when I was looking at, I'm just going to say Mr. Orange. I'm not even going to give him a name. That was acting like he was a 4-year-old. Literally, sorry. Literally watching that debate remind me of being in my classroom with 4 and 5-year-olds that's running around and calling names, saying stupid, and that, like, being so ignorant. Like, and this is who you want to run America. This is who you want. And then I was done. Like, I was trying to stay with, but it was just like, and it's sad. Our life shouldn't be live entertainment because it's not funny and it's real. But for him to sit up there and talking about pets, people are eating animals, dogs, and cats. Like what? Like what?
He was specifically referring to Haitians, black Haitians.
Yeah, so
That's what he
racist.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's being racist. Disgusting. But the whole point to be that ignorant, that's my whole point. To be that ignorant. And that's okay. And then I always get beyond upset is when you had people that were convicted felons that can't even vote, but you want a convicted felon to run America? Like, make it make sense at this point. But I'm not going to talk about that. But I'm just saying at this point, we got to use all of our tools to do whatever we got to do to keep ourselves safe. Because at the end of the day, we have the power inside of us. And I just wish it just like literally was a way right now. Like I wish it could happen now that we could actually knock this system down. Because it's a system that keeps promoting hate on all levels. It is a system that promotes the divide of human beings, racism. It promotes all of that, and it's disgusting. And as they talk about, like, and I always say it, like when Freddie Gray was murdered, you know, and at that point they were just like targeting, like squeegee kids, but they were more so worrying about adults, killing the women, killing the men. And I kept saying when this happened, when we had the uprising, I kept saying they're going to come for our babies next. They're going to come for a time that they're going to come for the children next, and that's what they're doing. Literally, that's exactly what they're doing. Every time that they talk about any teenager in the city of Baltimore, I don't know what's happening in other areas or avenues, cities, and states, but as for my city, every time I see them on the news, it's always talking about a teenager in a bad light. And it's always African American children. Always. It's always that. It's so sad and disgusting. We had an active white maniac, 14-year-old with his dad. They bought him a weapon to go to a school to kill innocent people. 4 people were murdered, 9 were shot. That's disgusting. But for him to again walk away, not a scratch, not a bruise, nothing. So when we keep on talking about we're having a conversation, the repeated conversation, oh, they need to be trained. They need no. That energy, when you have a white serial killer or someone committing a crime just off of hate, rage, and you can control yourself, you can use all the tools in the trick bag to make sure you apprehend that suspect and bring them in. That's what's supposed to happen at every arrest, every situation. That's supposed to happen. And the first thing they do is always say they fear for their life. But when it's serial killers, again, where's the fear? So I'm tired of playing the dog and pony show. It is disgusting. And for them, literally, and it's so heartbreaking when anyone loses their life, because it's like I tell you, we don't condone violence on any level. I don't care who it is, whether it's a child, whether it's a whoever. We don't condone violence. Violence is not right. It's not acceptable on any level. But the same energy that they want to restrict children, they want children to go down and testify, or they want to be pretty much interrogate children to where as though that they should be able to interrogate them without their parents around. A child, not an adult, a child, without their parents around. And we know how these detectives, when they interrogate, they make up lies, and we know how the child brain is still going. I'm not even getting that's a whole nother conversation. But they want to talk about they want a total repeal of the Child Interrogation Act, right? But yet they won't repeal the Office of Bill of Rights, where you got grown killers, grown men and women over the age of 18. Just because they're behind the beds, they can go and kill our loved ones. And the only thing they gotta say is, I fear for my life. And that gets them, they don't get interrogated. They get an interview. They get an interview. They don't get brought in right away. They get to come down there whenever they want to. And in my brother's case, one officer that was involved in murdering my brother never ever went down, gave a statement, gave anything, and they never gave us that officer's name. Never. And that is disgusting. But you want to get rid of something, start at your house. Clean your house first. Get rid of the officer's bill of rights. That's the thing you need to repeal. That's the thing you need to just wipe completely out. They get interviewed. They get interviewed with their attorney, a grown up, an adult over the age of 18, because you want to make it seem like, oh, it's then as a child turns 18, they're complete adult. It's foolishness, right? So you got a grown man or woman that's working for the department, the police department, or whatever agency, but they get an interview. They get to have their attorney right there telling them what to say, and they get recorded differently. I didn't even know. I learned so much of corruption when I dealt with when it hit my door. When we got that knock, that nobody remember we didn't even get a knock. When I rolled over and had to instantly play detective, I had to play everything and figure out everything that happened to my brother, from notifying my family members that something wasn't right. Everything. We didn't get that knock on the door that nobody wants to get. We didn't even get that call that nobody wants to get. But again, let's play fair. You want to get rid of something? Let's get rid of the Officer Bill of Rights. That's the first thing we need to get rid of. That's the first thing you need to get rid of. And then we can have any conversation afterwards about other things. And then it was sad enough, and I'm sorry to scramble, but there's so much going on, so I will scramble, and I apologize in advance. Because there's a lot I wanted to talk about tonight. But the fact of the young worker that died working hard for Baltimore City, Ronald Silvers, I hope I'm saying his name right, because I'm horrible with names, but this young man that went to work for his family, now they want to act like they want to do something now. Where was that energy when Mr. Ronald was on the back of a dirty trash truck trying to collect our dirty trash, our garbage, on a hot day? That they made him go like you had no choice. And then when he was getting sick, because when somebody gets sick, you know it because they start saying stuff. He wasn't quietly in this situation. He was letting everybody know, hey, I don't feel good. Even to the point, this poor young man is going knocking. This is how much they hate us in America. He's knocking. He's at work. He's knocking and begging people for water.
And DPW,
Water.
DPW had the water and the Gatorade
Everything.
locked up.
Locked up. Wouldn't give it to him. That's a whole nother ball game. But then to be in a community where people are looking at you, that they were giving animals. They see an animal on a hot day. Oh, come here, buddy. Let me give you some water. But a grown man that's working, you wait till this man is dying, taking his last breath to come bring him out water and throw it on him. Like, are you kidding me? So every and anybody involved, I wish you karma. And I don't wish bad things on anyone. But people need to start getting what they dish out. Because that's the type of world we live in today. People don't like it when it happens to them, but they can easily do it to someone else. They don't like it when it happens to them. And it's disgusting. And I'm sick of it. Meanwhile, all you see over the news is the tragedy that unfolded at the high school here. It was sad that two kids in the bathroom, altercation, someone gets murdered. That's horrible. That's disgusting. But that was two kids getting in the altercation. You have a white kid that ain't getting nothing with nobody that said, hey, I'm sending threats. I'm going to go blow up the school. They sent the FBI to investigate. And Dad said, oh, well, we do have weapons. I have an AKA, but it's not readily available. And then went and go buy him one. And he shoot up the school. But yet you want to just keep on talking and exploiting the situation with these two young babies in a school. Disgusting. Shame on the media. I'm sick of the media. And I'm shocked Facebook even let me go back live far as on my own personal page. So I would never ever use their device again to actively go live about West Wales. It will never happen. I won't even let them play with me no more. Once you play in my face one time, no, I'm giving no one that type of control. No one. Absolutely not. It's disgusting. And I just want to let us know that love is the key to everything. We're in a world of hate. We're in a world of rage and disgust. And you never know what someone is going through. And when you give hate back, Unfortunately, it said it makes you no better than a person. Or the people that took your loved one, and it's okay for us to get upset. I'm not saying be a happy camper, because no one is happy about that. But at the same time, if we easily get what we get, it's disgusting, man. It'll be a bloody war before you know it. And we don't want that. I always have been advocating peace for 11 years. All I've been asking for is accountability. I'm not asking nobody to lie. I'm not asking for anything. And also, I want to give a big shout out to Miss Justine, who just did an amazing story talking about the medical examiner's office. And if you have not read that article, you need to read it. Because she broke down everything. And it is horrible. And the stuff that she tells, she's telling the truth. She fact finds and she puts the truth out there. I'll say it again. She fact finds and she puts the truth out there. And I remember I had a beautiful sister named Sheridan that did the same thing. She fact finds and she put the truth out there. And then she had the idiot Bruce Goldfarb. Bruce Goldfarb hit her up in 2017 and told her, hey, you need to retract what you wrote. And you need to put what the person in the car said. Like, who gives a damn about the person that y'all planted in the car that he didn't even know? At the time, the gun trace task force was setting people up, robbing them, and murdering them and doing all type of heinous acts. Okay? But for this idiot to reach back out again to rear his ugly head, I was going to be down the medical examiner's office today for West Wednesday. But I heard the idiot does not work there anymore. So Bruce Goldfarb, I know you're watching my page. As I told you eye to eye, tell me to retract something. You couldn't even come out and face me. And the saddest part, when I used to come down to the medical examiner's office before they even was getting investigated, I kept telling them, y'all need to investigate them. Why is it that every time someone dies in police custody, that it comes back that it's undetermined just to get these killer cops off? Literally, George King went in the Good Sam's Hospital for a toothache. And I don't know if anybody ever experienced having a toothache and that type of pain that's wrapped around a toothache. Like literally, I done, by the grace of God, I done gave birth to four beautiful children, right? And feeling all that pain. And my last one, oh my goodness, like for one, my both of my girls, they was the ones that gave it to me. They was like the boys, they was easy deliveries, like easy breezy. I think it was just the girls. But with my daughter, my oldest daughter, I was in labor for 36 hours. And then for my last baby girl, 6, but I did actually push her out last, and that almost killed me. But back to the toothache. Me feeling a toothache one time, I'll never forget, I jumped out my car on York Road. I parked the safety. I'm right there. See that thing at the light with my hands on. I had to really do that for 2 seconds because I never feel no excruciating pain like that in my life. It was horrible. So I'm thinking with George King that goes to Good Sam Hospital for a toothache. And then, he felt like, and it was a young guy, he felt like they're not giving him proper attention. So they call the county police to come in. They come in. Not only did they start beating him, they tasered George King in his neck 4 times, 4 times in the neck. And guess what his autopsy report displayed later? His autopsy report didn't say, oh, he was tasered in his neck, electric shock. Folks, pretty much almost as if you're getting shot, struck by lightning. Just all this electrical energy going into your body that killed him. He was murdered, tortured, right? They came back, the medical exam office. Bruce Goldfarb is the representative. He's the devil's advocate. But David Fowler, Pamela Southall, they came back and said, oh, this young man, he died from natural causes. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? When my brother was assassinated, beat to death, baton, open fist, tasered in his neck 2 to 3 times, pulled by his wrist. I will not even go there because it's too painful. But the way he was murdered, for the medical examiner's office to take 154 days to give us a partially incomplete autopsy that lied and said undetermined that my brother had a bad heart. And they always set it up to seem like the person had suffered from something called excited delirium. And the only reason why they didn't say that in my brother's case, because every week, West Wednesday, every week, we were outside of the medical examiner's office, and I kept telling them. When I found out, somebody was like, "Oh, well, they might do this. We done seen this a lot. When they taking this long, they might come back and say excited delivering." And I looked it up, and I'm like, "Hold up." And when I looked up the terminology, I'm like, "Oh, so it's made out to seem that the person's under drugs. They got exuberant strength, and they die of a freaking heart attack." I said, "Oh, the devil is a liar. I wish they would come back with some foolishness." I said, "I damn." And I kept saying, y'all better dot every I and cross every T before you come at me about my loved one. And that's the only reason why David Fowler in his Goonies didn't come back with that. But they still came back with a partial report that pretty much said, "Oh, Mr. West died while in a struggle in police restraint." First of all, it was no struggle. He was strangled while in police restraint. Let's be crystal clear, he was murdered as if the other ones was. And then for them to actually be going into debate saying they're going to look into like 100 deaths or more, they need to look into every last one of them that David Fowler had his signature on. Make it right. Make it right. 100 is doing us a disservice. It's doing us a disservice. 1,300 to 100. Oh, that's beyond watering it down. He should be charged with theft. As a matter of fact, he should be charged. He should be going to jail. This is This is a criminal, vicious, malicious act that he did. And then you got Bruce Goldfarb wanting to tell somebody to retract something. Hit me up, sir, and tell me to retract this. I bet you I won't. I guarantee you I won't. And that's why every time we came down there when my cousin was in your face, she started stuttering. You couldn't even talk. And she said, rub, 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 right in your face. And you couldn't say anything. We know who you are. We know exactly what you did, and we're not going for it. Have not fought for 11 years. Ain't going nowhere. All I'm praying for is accountability for my big brother and all the victims of police brutality. And last week we couldn't give you a list, but the list tonight is going to blow your mind. It's disturbing. Every time we hear about it, it's disturbing. And I even have young teachers that work on my job that literally like, "Mr. Wanda, oh my goodness, did you hear about the police officer that was driving and he got beat up? I think he was in Florida. Like they was messing with him and he was being low. He was in his Lamborghini." And she said to him, but I didn't get a football player. I'm sorry. What I say? Police officer. Oh, Lord Jesus. A police officer beat up a football player. He was in his Lamborghini. And they pulled him over and he was calling his rep and everything was there like attorneys to them. They was being, they was being horrible. They brutalized a football player, y'all. A football player. Right before the game. Like disgusting.
He was on his way to the game.
He was on his way to the game.
And he ran a touchdown and put his hands like that.
That's disgusting. Like it's horrible. It's not even nothing to joke about. Like at the end of the day, it's horrible what they're doing. And they keep targeting us more and more and more. And then they keep coming back with this foolishness. "Oh, well, we made a mistake," or they don't know what they're doing. No, they know exactly what they're doing. They're hiding behind that badge because it places them above the law to brutalize, burn, and do whatever they want to do. They're repeat violent offenders. But then they always want to talk about whenever they pull up a so-called criminal, they don't show us all the criminals. We have white serial killers that murder people. You don't even show them the news. Don't talk about them. They rather keep them in a whole nother state for something else. They instead of saying, "Hey, this person murder or foolishness," they rather keep it to water it down to let years go by with no accountability. So whenever you just to put it like this, whenever you stop us and slow us down, justice delayed is justice denied. You have been denying us of something for decades. What you're doing is watering down our case. Every year, every second. And this is how I see my brother case. I see a file and I see all this stuff, and I'll even go, I'll be more elaborate. The file that I gave Marilyn Mosby that she did absolutely nothing with but set it on her desk. It's almost like the ceiling leaking when it rains and water gets on it. And literally, the water will start going through the cardboard. The water, we go with the Doug and Pony show. It's always every time we on Greenmount, every time. So my brother's fine with the cardboard and protecting the papers. The cardboard ain't but so thick, thin cardboard, but every time water drops down on it, it's melting through the cardboard. Now it's getting through the paperwork, and all the evidence and all the ink is wearing off of that paper. That's what y'all doing to my family, and not just my family, all the families that you deny us accountability. That is disgusting. And then when you open it up and we know we get access to the grand jury, then you want to silence people that were strong on the scene. You want to silence, you want to put gag orders on them. That's what you do. That's the dirty game you do. They tried it with me. They done tried everything. And they're still trying and doing stuff. And it says that every day, and this is why I make memories on Facebook and I put it out there because that's my blueprint memory. So that way, when I look back up on this day, years ago, I can see everything from the last past 10 to 12 years or more. And each day that I look in the memory, I'm not lying. It's always that I did something to my car. Somebody was standing on my porch. It was somebody that said something. It was Jane Baletto telling foolishness, telling somebody to retract something. No, you retract it, miss. I'm sick of it. Tell me to retract this. I dare you. I can go on all night, but I won't. But I will end on this note before I pull up anybody that want to stay on air. I'm very disgusted. I have no faith in this justice system. I have no faith in this so sad. I have no faith in this one that is a vote and that is going to go vote. And I'll be damned if I'm going to vote for Trump. But it's just so sad. I don't even have faith in that. Anytime you have a prosecutor running against a criminal, and then you got the prosecutor that has failed us on many levels, that did zero tolerance stuff, but at the same time, you got this animal that's a known racist, slap dead in your face racist. One time they used to hide and be like courts who were talking about racism. They'll say little slurs, but now they bold. That's why so many people are dying, getting murdered. And then for them to give the name to some racist KKK, the Proud Boys, you're proud about being racist? Nothing to be proud about. Nothing to be proud about. That is disgraceful. That is hate on all levels. And the media talks about it as if it's nothing, if it's okay. And last, and I'm gone, I promise, I'm dropping the mic. But I was real disgusted when I took that trip with my girls to Texas, riding through all the racist states, feeling like an idiot because I'm, in my mind, even though it's 2024 and I know racism is real, but to actually really learn and have the fear if me and my girls were going to make it back alive, if we would have pulled over in a sundown town, if something was going to happen to me and my baby. And then everybody knows me, I do not get on the highway. Tell me this sister ain't ride on the highway that day and rode it back and forth all day long. You do anything for your baby. We will walk to the end of this earth for our loved ones. We get all type of strength that we didn't even know we had. We tap into our sources of love to face this hate. And that's what we're doing. I tap in every day. We face hate doing everything that we do in this day. You can't even go to work in peace. Because there's foolishness there, there's foolishness everywhere. And it's sad. It's so sad that everybody wonder why I'm up here scrambling. If you walk one day in these paper shoes, I'm trying to tell you, you will burn these things up. You will burn them up. For me, actually, and I'm gone, the mic's dropped. For me, actually waking up after only getting like 2 hours of sleep, worrying, oh, is my son and daughter, they're going to make it home from work safe? Is everybody safe? And once I hear or notice they're safe, then I can start unwinding. And as soon as I start unwinding, it's time for me to get back up. Then I get up, I take my shower, I'll eat some fruit, and I'll run out the door. And then go through hell at my job, bust my hind parts, and get treated as if I'm not doing that. Just because you don't even like who I am. Nothing to do with my job. The parents love me, the kids love me. That's what get me through the day. That's why I'm able to block the hate, the foolishness. I don't care who shows it. Because I'll tell it to people's face. I'm not one that's going to say stuff behind your back. I'm going to say eye to eye. Let's talk. But the foolishness to go through that, working hard, too tired to come home and really cook for my family. And I'm always ordering takeout food because I'm too tired to cook. That's disgusting. And then keep going through hell. They gotta come out here and fight. Still can't even go put your tongue in the air and enjoy it. The life has a lot of enjoyment, but how can you enjoy it? As soon as you count on news, oh, this one got killed, this teenager's doing that, this teenager's doing that. Like, no, it's too much. So we have to tap in with love and working on a plan to demolish, smash, and trash this whole system. I have no faith in it. Smash and trash it. Mic check.
Mic check.
I'm going to be all over the place too. I have about like 19 million things that I want to touch on. And it's, a lot of it is a follow up to what T has been saying. First, I want to point out that the person giving her grief at work is a victim of police brutality and was highlighted in one of the movies about the Dirty Gun Trace Task Force. You would think, if anything, this wench would want to have like some kind of camaraderie or empathy or whatever, but I think in the long run, she's jealous because she didn't fight like does. She didn't fight. So there's that. Another thing I want to talk about is the North Carolina Fraternal Order of Police endorsed Trump. The Fraternal Order of Police endorsed a criminal. And they're all across the country. Different fraternal orders of police are endorsing a criminal because guess what? The police in this country are criminals too. They see a likeness in him. They don't have common ground with a prosecutor. They have common ground with a criminal, a repeated criminal, a repeated rapist, a repeated fraudster. So think about that when you want to hold the police in a positive light. All across this country, the police are supporting Trump, even though he had no problem with them getting their asses kicked on January 6th. So there's that. And now I want to talk about Patty Warren. I'm not even going to use her daughter's name because may that poor soul rest in peace. But Patty Warren is testifying in front of the Republican Congress, testifying like, you know, at the Republican National Convention, testifying down at the border, anti-immigrant. She's racist. She's from Harford County. Let's just put it out there. Harford County is full of racists. She's a racist. If you were watching the debate last night, Kamala was saying The percentage of crimes committed by immigrants is the smallest percentage out of any population. Yet, this wench is going all over the country disparaging immigrants. So make that make sense. And then I wrote something that I wanted to touch on. Talked about 9/11, which was 23 years ago. And they commemorate it every year. But there's never any commemoration about people whose lives were stolen by police. Like we do this every week, but all across the country, there's just people doing stuff in silos. The official death toll of 9/11 was 2,977. At that time, in 2001, it would have taken more than 3 years for the same number of people that were murdered by police to equal that amount. Now, it would take less than 2 years. But I'm going to put a caveat on that because I don't think the numbers are going up. I just think they're being more adequately reported. I think they've always been killing and lynching people at the numbers that they're doing now. It's just that they weren't reporting them right. They weren't tracking them right. They were relying on the criminals to report their data. So there's that. So our list today is 35 people in 9 days. 35 people. The youngest being 17, the oldest 77. So you're not safe no matter what age range you are. You're not safe if you're a teenager. You're not safe if you're an old person, a senior who's retired. You're not safe in this country when it comes to the police. And our list ends on August 30th. So I'm going to talk about Mr. Justin Robinson from Washington, D.C., September 1st. We'll be reading his name next week, probably. All right, so Justin Robinson was a violence disruptor in D.C., same as what we have here at Safe Streets. Consider it like he was a Safe Streets worker. He was a violence disruptor in D.C. It's 5:30 in the morning, and he was asleep. He was asleep in the drive-thru for 30 minutes, and then he must have got startled awake, and he crashed his car, and it knocked him unconscious again. And somebody must have called the police. These motherfuckers surrounded his car quietly so that they didn't wake him up. Quietly boxed him in so he couldn't move his car, got out, guns drawn, and are whispering to each other what they're going to do. Oh, he's got a gun in his lap. Yeah, so if he wakes up suddenly, now, who's going to wake up suddenly ready to start firing a fucking gun in their lap if there really was a gun in his lap? Because I don't believe shit, because this story has the same exact details as a man that was killed down by Atlanta, Georgia, like right after George Floyd. I can't remember his name. There's so many fucking names. I can't remember names. But it was a man in a drive-thru that, I'm not saying that because that's our dude. So I don't know. I don't remember his name. But he was shot to death. Okay? And then there's elements of it that are like the man that was killed up in Delaware, asleep in his car outside his mother's house. We've had his family on West Wednesday before. And then there's Sonia Massey elements to it. So what they do, they surround his car. He's knocked out from hitting his head on the steering wheel. And he's knocked out. And then he starts coming to. And a la Sonia Massey, The cop points the gun at him and says, I'm gonna shoot you in your fucking face. And then they open fire. He's discombobulated. He just got knocked unconscious and's coming to, and he put his hands up. He didn't put them down towards his lap. He put his hands up and they opened fire on him 20 times, murdering him. Just to here in DC. Not even an hour away in DC. All on body cam. And they're still trying to spin it. They're trying to spin it like they always do. Willie McCoy was the guy down in Atlanta. So yeah, Justin Robinson. And I think he was 27, 26. I don't know. He's young. A violence disruptor in DC, gunned down by violence, by the people who are really supposed to be fighting the violence and crime, but we know they're the perpetrators of most of it. So I'm just really sick and tired of everybody just staying in their silos instead of banding together. We all need to just touch base with each other and band together, because nothing is going to get done with everybody in their silos. Everybody needs to just start banding together, because there's power in numbers. There's safety in numbers. And they have to listen when there's large numbers. So I'm just like crying out to all of the family members of violence, no matter like how the violence happened. We all need to just band together and demand better of this country, demand better of our politicians, demand better of policies, demand better of our Office of Medical Examiners, demand better from each other, better from the police. In fact, the police should be fucking abolished, because they serve no purpose. They serve no purpose. They're like a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. And it's a wound that they caused. So, Patty Warren really needs to get out of the fucking spotlight, because she's xenophobic. She's xenophobic, she's racist, and I'm just really fucking tired of them giving the spotlight to the wrong fucking people. Where's the media out here? Where's the media? Why aren't they out here every week? Why aren't they covering what the fucking Attorney General's office is supposedly doing? When she was saying 100 out of 1,300 deaths were supposedly being re-examined, that is only 7.7%. They couldn't even up it to 130 to be 10%. 7.7% is what they were willing to look into. So what about the other 1,200 people? Because that's what the police average every year, killing people. What about the 1,200 other people? What are you going to tell those families? And they're saying, oh, we're just really worried about litigation. You ain't worried about people fucking dying? You're not worried about people dying. You're worried about fucking money. That's disgusting. That is disgusting that you care more about whatever money you got to put out. You know what you need to do is pass a fucking law that makes the cops have liability insurance just like doctors do. So that when they do their malpractice and they murder and maim and beat up people and terrorize and traumatize people, that got to come out of their pocket, not the taxpayers, because we're the ones paying for this shit. Millions of dollars every year get paid out, and probably billions across this entire country if you add it all up, because just one city last year had $82 million. New York City paid out $82 million in police misconduct cases. You are cutting me off.
I don't mean to, but let's face it. If the president
And the black man will pay less money with the taxes like we do, there will be no deficit. Look what that is.
Not worrying about a deficit. What I'm worrying about is who is paying these police. These police. Yeah. Oh, okay, you can wait your turn as well. So police misconduct cases right now across this country are paid for by taxpayers. If you force the FOP and you force the police agencies across this one to carry malpractice or whatever liability insurance, I guarantee you half these inept fucking yahoos that become police officers wouldn't even bother because they know they're thugs. They know they're the biggest gang in America. They know they're out here killing people wantonly without any repercussions. They know it. So I'm tired of my taxpayer money being going out to victims' families when it should be coming out of their pockets. None of these motherfuckers even live in Baltimore City, so it ain't even their taxpayer money paying the shit. So this is what I'm saying. Like, all I'm saying is we need to start really stepping our game up and telling our politicians what to fucking put out there as far as laws go and in the next session. Because for real, why do we gotta wait for them to think up and dream up shit? We gotta put shit on the table and be like, this is what you need to put up. And you need to get it passed. And Westmore, you need to change the jurisdiction on Donnell Rochester's case. Because unlike what some people are out there saying on social media, that Anthony Brown is being disingenuous because he could just take the case. No, he can't. He can't, because the law wasn't passed and enacted until October of last year, which was beyond the date that Donnell was killed. It has to come from Westmore. It has to come from Westmore. Change the jurisdiction so that Anthony Brown can prosecute the motherfuckers that killed Donnell Rochester. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. So, anybody else want to add or say anything before we go into our long, horrific list of violence? It just said, and my sister just blew this mic up, like it's burning up hot. And I just think it's interesting. I always hate to sound like a conspiracy theory, but if you've been in this fight as long as we have and seen all the foolishness that we have seen, they send all type of people here to disrupt, be loud, rude, all that stuff to distract it. You cannot stop our message and then walk right past the pigs over there. Who sent them? Like, make it make sense. You know, I act foolish, but I'm not by far. So I will pull out the list, but I'm not the list, but I'll disclaimer, but I'm just going to genuinely say it from my heart. You know, so I just want to say that we are out here advocating peace, and we don't believe in violence. And as we read these names, it's coming from a place of fear. We have no detailed information about any of the cases that we read, whether it's on our community violence list or our police brutality list. We have no details. We believe in mediation. If there's a conflict that arises, instead of taking it to the street, take it to the table and talk about it. Because guess what? When you do that, both parties get to walk away. We can agree to disagree. That's what I believe in. So, right now, the time, again, well, the time now is 8:16. We're going to literally come back at 8:18 just to make sure that we got everything good and we got our interest back again. So it's not going to be quiet. So y'all going to get a performance, but we'll be back at 8:18. Mic check.
Check.
Got the sleep on and everything. Showtime at WestWednesday. Angel so divine. Thank you guys so much. The time now is 8:18. And just keep in mind when you hear these things, we have no detailed information, but just keep in mind that it's a human being whose life is gone, and we're sad by it. By check.
Mic check.
So, the most recent list of homicides here in Baltimore only has 2 new names on it. But there's a lot of, I mean, the last date on it is the 3rd, so there may have been it may have been a good week. I don't know. But nonetheless, these 2 people, their lives were stolen, their loved ones are crushed, their friends are mourning, and the world is a smaller place. So you just echo their names back to me. Travis Cooper,
Travis Cooper.
Daryl Burton.
Daryl Burton.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mic check.
Mic check.
Here I am again. I really wanted to bunny poo her in the head with the mic, but I know the only deficit we're suffering from right now is a moral deficit. So, okay, so this list goes from August 22nd to the 30th. I'm going to read part. And this is police murders across the country. Police murdering civilians, not police being murdered. That rarely happens. On August 22nd in Weslaco, Texas, 22-year-old Juan Contreras.
Juan Contreras.
Also on the 22nd in Mustang, Oklahoma, 41-year-old Juan Barbosa.
Juan Barbosa.
Also on the 22nd in El Paso, Texas, 56-year-old Julio Cordero.
Julio Cordero.
Also on the 22nd in Alton, Illinois, 27-year-old Berman Randall Jr.
Vernon Randall Jr.
On the 23rd in Edmond, Oklahoma, 25-year-old Billy Factor.
Billy Factor.
On the 23rd of August, again in El Paso, Texas, apparently there are super murderers there. 39-year-old, name withheld by police. Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe. Also on the 23rd, in Sugar Hill, Georgia, 17-year-old Braden Hemphill.
Braden Hemphill.
Also on the 23rd, in Winter Park, Florida, 41-year-old Richard Randall Jr.
Richard Randall Jr.
Again on the 23rd, that's 5 if you're not counting. In Lawrence, Indiana, 40-year-old Kentrail Small.
Kentrail Small.
On the 24th of August in Fort Peck, Montana. Unknown age, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe. Also on the 24th in Beaumont, Texas, 42-year-old Manuel Artiega.
Manuel Artiega.
Also on the 24th in Huntsville, Alabama, 38-year-old Namikal Sanders.
Namikal Sanders.
I apologize if I mispronounced that. Okay, on the 25th of August in Richardson, Texas, 37-year-old Emmanuel Cruz.
Emmanuel Cruz.
I'm sorry, but I'm really noticing a lot of Latino names on this list. I just want to bring everyone's attention to that, especially with this anti-immigrant rhetoric that's going on. I just wanted to point it out. Okay, so, where Cruz? Okay, on August 25th in New York, 62-year-old Mark Kelly.
Mark Kelly.
On the 26th of August in Follett, Texas, 39-year-old, name withheld by police. Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
Also on the 26th in Beaverton, Oregon, 39-year-old Jacob Bundy.
Jacob Bundy.
On the 27th of August in San Antonio, Texas, 22-year-old Sina Sobi.
Sina Sobi.
And on the 27th in Eastman, Georgia, 58-year-old Kim Crocker.
Kim Crocker.
Also on the 27th, in Stockbridge, Georgia, 33-year-old Derek Rankins.
Derek Rankins.
Again on the 27th, in Asheville, North Carolina, 58-year-old Chad Herman.
Chad Herman.
And also on the 27th, so that's 5 if you're not counting, in Seguin, Texas, 77-year-old, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe.
So in case anyone lost track, the names we're reading are all people that were killed by the police in a 9-day period. 35 people murdered by police. On August the 28th, in Carson City, Nevada, killed by police, Juan Bejarada. On the 28th again, in Kent, Washington, 33 years old, Christian Mashofsky.
Christian Mashofsky.
Once more on the 28th, in Omaha, Nebraska, 37 years old, Cameron Ford.
Cameron Ford.
Yet again on the 28th, in Hinesville, Georgia, 30 years old, Andre Hagre.
Andre Hagre.
Moving to the 29th, in Coffeyville, Kansas, 33 years old, Derek Trotter.
Derek Trotter.
Again on the 29th, in Alamogordo, New Mexico, 41 years old, Wallace Gonzalez.
Wallace Gonzalez.
Again on the 29th, in Amity, Arizona, 40 years old, Jennifer Province.
Jennifer Province.
Once again on the 29th, in Chandler, Arizona, 32 years old, Brandon Evans.
Brandon Evans.
Again on the 29th, in Roanoke, Virginia, 26 years old, name withheld by police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe.
Ashe.
On the 29th, again, Dallas, Texas, 30 years old, Corey Cobb Bay.
Corey Cobb Bay.
On the 29th, in York, Maine, 37 years old, Trent Weston.
Trent Weston.
And we now move to the 30th, the last date for which we've got information. And we know of 3 people whose lives were stolen by the police on that day. First, in Orchard Park, New York, someone whose name has so far been withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Second, on the 30th, in Beaumont, Texas, 43 years old, Victoria Mesa.
Victoria Mesa.
No problem. The right sentiment. And the last person we're going to uphold this evening, unfortunately, we don't know their name, was from Alexandria, Ohio. A man, we don't know his age.
Cell blocks
Cell
for
block
killer
for killer
cops.
cops.
Ashe. And once more, Justin Robinson.
Justin Robinson.
There you go. Mic check.
Mike check.
Check.
And thank you, sister, for bringing that up because I wanted to talk about it, but you know my mind be like everywhere. But so before we wrap up, you know, I always like to give everybody a time to testify or say anything. And the brother asked me could he share something in regards to what we were talking about tonight. So come on up. So welcome to West Wednesday. Mike check.
Mike check.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
And,
evening.
thank you all for having me, and thank you all for allowing me the time to speak to you all. I would like to start by saying I heard you all about maybe 2.5 blocks all the way down the street as I was walking up here to grab something. As I was walking up the street to grab something to eat, and I heard the subject matter that you all were speaking. This is a particular sensitive subject to me because I myself was a victim of gun violence by police. My particular experience happened way back, technically February 15th, but the night of Valentine's Day, 2000. Um, the details, I had to share a little bit about it. It's still to this day, it's a really sensitive issue, and it's difficult to talk about. But um, it involved a woman that I was involved with at the time. This was Valentine's Day night, and I worked that night. Picked up extra hours, and we had plans on spending the night together. Of course, it was Valentine's Day. Um, I talked with her about the offer to work extended hours. I love the opportunity to make overtime, and she knows that. And she was like, "It's okay." And so I got off around 1 a.m. that night. Called her as I typically do, and told her that I would go home, shower up, change clothes, and catch a cab over there, and spend the rest of the night with her. So I did that, and when I went to call her to let her know that I was waiting for the cab, I didn't get a call, and it wasn't nothing to do. I was in a relationship with her for over a year. It was after almost 3 a.m. by this point, and I figured she maybe fell asleep. And she typically may not hear the phone ring, but will hear the door if I come to the door. So I didn't think nothing of it. Proceeded to go along as planned. Got there, and she had company, and I saw her with her company in the window. Tried to leave, but got spotted by the guy. They were both asleep, and the guy spotted me, spotted them. He saw me. I guess he felt my eyes on him. And he looked dead in my face. I tried to walk away. I tried immediately to walk away from the situation because the look on his face told me to get away from the situation. I couldn't get away fast enough, and this guy came raging out of the house, wondering if I was some type of peeping Tom or if I was trying to make an attempt to, and I was like, I was here to see Crystal, but obviously you're here with her, and I don't want any trouble. If you're here with her, be with her. I can go about my way. God wouldn't let me leave. He was upset about the fact that I was there. Provoked, really just provoked me and to physically having to defend myself against him, which I ultimately did. Um, we fought a little, and we separated. And he went in the house. He went into the kitchen and grabbed a knife and came at me again. I wrestled the knife away from him. I got scratched on the arm, but other than that, no, nothing serious happened. And I did not attempt to. Once I got the knife away from him, all I wanted to do was get up and get away from the situation. As soon as I got up from, we were up in the front yard of the residence, right below the front porch. As soon as I raised up to walk to, kind of run out of the yard, the police, which I really, throughout the commotion, I hadn't even realized arrived on scene, were already there with guns pointed in my direction from the outside of the fence. He asked me to drop the weapon. All I went to do was raise my hands to drop the weapon. I didn't even get the chance to extend my hands all the way in the air before he opened fire. Almost beeline my neighbor. Um, Nearly took my life away. When I went to Hopkins, I had lost nearly every drop of blood I had in my body. The bullet ruptured my aorta blood vessel, which is the largest blood vessel in the human body, if you are aware. That caused massive blood damage, massive blood loss. It went through my small intestines and destroyed a good chunk of that, and I've had to have a good chunk of that removed. And the bullet also lodged in my spine. Um, yeah, there were some other injuries that a little too graphic. I don't want to burn anyone's ears here tonight, but I very nearly died. And only through God's grace and some stroke of good luck that I'm still here today. It was a very defining moment in my life. Needless to say, I, in many ways, it's humbled me. Um, it's given me a zeal for life that I'm not even sure I had prior to that incident. And that's not even to say that, I was walking around with some type of devilish in the first place. I never really was that person. But, there's a lot of, humans, we struggle in this society. There are a lot of plagues out here plaguing this society. And it's not an easy world for a lot of people to live in, and that certainly holds true for me. And has held true for me, for various parts of my life for as long as I can remember. But with that said, I've always had a sort of fighting spirit, to fight for my own personal survival and for the well-being of those I care about. Um, and that has kept me going, and it continues to keep me going. But the trauma, that you had to endure from that kind of experience, from an entity that you are kind of trained and instilled to believe that they are here to protect and serve. But when you grow up in areas like I've had to grow up, and you see the kinds of things that I see, these are the very people you are most afraid of. More afraid of than the people you see on the street corners, more so than anybody. My biggest fear has always been the things that I've seen them do from the time I was a little boy. I've always seen them bully and harass me. And that's not to say that, you know, some people don't, that some people aren't doing some things to warrant, that kind of, in those situations, you get it. But the various situations where you see them unwarrantedly attack, unwarrantedly bully, and, literally, even if they don't physically attack, the way they talk down on you, the way they treat you, they make you feel stepped upon, like kind of like a cockroach, you know, and to know that these kinds of things happen every day, but then to sit back and hear, I'm an avid media watcher. I keep up on current events. I've done so for a long time. But you can't watch no level of news that will tell you the sheer gravity of how much this goes on every day, multiple times a day, seemingly every day. Multiple people. I sat here and listened to you all go over maybe a month's time span when you ran off probably a couple of dozen names.
9 days.
9 days in a couple of dozen names.
35, 9 days.
It, you know, I've gotten to the point where I don't even look towards the political arena anymore because I don't believe in them. I don't. I think they have an agenda, and that their agenda is not centered on everyday people like us.
Oppression, maybe.
You know, perhaps oppression, control, power, absolute power. And what did they say about that? Absolute power corrupts what?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And there is no clear evidence of it in what's going on right here. I don't really support the whole division between Democrats and Republicans, Muslims and Christians, all the divisiveness, the race divisions, the sexual orientation divisions, the political divisions, the various and many sorts of divisions that are dividing us. These people know what they're doing. And a united people without a united front, without a united stand, you cannot win against these forces, and they know that. And it just never fails to amaze me the amount of people that get sucked into the same suit over and over again. They have tried it. Some of this stuff has been going on for decades and even centuries now. Some of their tactics are not new. And with all the modernized technology, a lot of these points are pretty much still the same. They don't really change much. And it really they don't have to. So I appreciate you guys taking the opportunity to reach out, and try to catch the masses of whoever you can. I appreciate the opportunity to allow me to have a few moments to speak to you all. I think you're blessed. I urge you all, kiss your loved one, you know, value your life as much as you can, because you really only got one shot at this, right? And this world, a lot of things that we wish to want to change, we can't always control. But that doesn't mean don't fight. I appreciate the fight. But, you know, there has to be some type of balance, and I think it's important to remember that. Don't get so caught up in your journey that you lose yourself. There has to be some level of harmonic balance within yourself. I know, I met a good friend of mine. I met her a couple of years ago through one of my best friends, and we all kind of do home improvement. And she's a rock star. She's a woman, and she's a rock star when it comes to home improvement. She's one of the best I've ever seen. And we became fond of each other over the years. But one of the things that really worries me about her is she allows she gets all wrapped up into the politics, and the political arena has really gotten her to the point where it drives her almost manic, and she gets so lost in it. It's difficult to bring her back, and sometimes even impossible. You try to, hey, step out of it, make it step. you know, and you know, I don't know that it's a good idea. You know what I mean? To get that invested in the company either. You know what I mean? Like don't lose yourself in it. You know, take it from a person who has tried a little bit of everything out here in these streets. I don't sit here and preach, to anyone like I'm some saint. I very much born and raised in this city. I made a lot of mistakes coming up as a young black boy, but I also grew up in a generation where there there was a lot of support out here, and the streets that I grew up in was a little different. And there was still a little bit more of a sense of community, and you know you had a people that could kind of reel you in for. There still was a little bit more of a village, raising a community, raising a child kind of a thing. I had a lot of mother figures and father figures on my block. They genuinely looked out for us. We just couldn't act out on the block. You had more than your mama to have to worry about. You know, so those are the kinds of things that kind of kept me from, going too far left, even when I did, kind of go a little left here and there. So again, I thank you all for sharing your thoughts. Um, let's us all just take a moment to remember all the lives that have already been lost, continue to be lost, and I really appreciate you all showing the heart to come out because most of these names on this list, like I said, no one ever hears about. And, the many names that kind of been driven into our heads, they only represent a small few. This is a huge problem. And so I thank you all for giving voices to the voiceless, if not for anything else. And for that, you all have a blessed night, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can I say mic check?
I check.
Mic check.
So this is what I wanted to tell y'all that this is what West Wednesday about. That young brother just said his horrible experience with the police. And brother, I'll be praying for you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. It takes a lot to share. So this is what West Wednesday. That's why I like being boots on the ground out here on the streets because you meet real people with real problems. And you can come and you can see that we're not making this stuff up. So I'm glad that he survived this encounter, but he's forever impacted. So who knows if every Valentine's Day is going to be a loving day for the holiday, he thinks about the trauma he suffered and is still suffering. So I just ask everybody to get involved. Do your part. Whatever part that is you can do, whether it's share these videos, telling people to come out to Westwood. However you can help in the movement, whether it's donating. Whatever you can do is a blessing. Remember, live to love to live. I love you all. We will see you next West Wednesday.